Hey guys, as you can see and probably hear, I'm not too well today, but given that it's the end of the year, I wanted to still make a GameHammer episode and finish the year properly. I wanted to make a very nice, end of year best game thing, but I haven't had the time to finish that off. So instead, I want to do a retrospective and review on one of my favourite games from the 16-bit era. So let's get straight in with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Mega Drive. Let's do it! When I was younger, during my formative years, the 16-bit era was in full swing. My friends all had Mega Drives. I wouldn't meet anyone who had a Super Nintendo until I was well into secondary school. And we all played Sonic the Hedgehog. I never had many games for my Mega PC. They were all far too expensive to be able to afford a lot of them, but I rented a game from our local video store on a regular basis. My favourite rentals were Desert Strike because it was awesome, and Sonic 2 because it was the best game I had ever played up to that point. Created in only 9 months, 2 months less than the originally pitched timescale that Sega executives turned down as too soon after Sonic 1's release, Sonic 2 was a powerhouse of graphics, sound and gameplay that absolutely blew away the slew of rival mascot platformers which dominated the 16-bit era. Being a sequel, it was important not only to be both bigger and better than the original, but also to fix the numerous problems that gamers had found with the classic first game. Gone is the speed cap that limited Sonic's running speed in the original game. Now he can move as fast as the Mega Drive could handle. The slowness PAL gamers had felt when playing Sonic 1 compared to their 60Hz counterparts in America and Japan was also tweaked, meaning Sonic 2 was a much faster game, albeit still not as fast as the NTSC versions. The levels are larger and far more rewarding if you're into exploring them rather than speedrunning, although that still remains a very rewarding way to play. Now there are multiple ways to complete levels, and each level is a delight to play, which can't be said of some of the later levels in the original game. I'm looking at you, Labyrinth and Scrap Brain Zones. All of this was possible because the Sonic 2 cartridge is 8 megabit, double the size of the original. Not all that extra space was used on extra levels, however. There aren't that many extra compared with the original, but instead it was used on making what is in each level bigger, better and far more polished. The result is a game that is an absolute visual and audio delight. You don't have to run back through a level to try and pick up momentum anymore either. Now, Sonic has a spin dash move that lets you zoom through levels without backtracking. This helps keep up the fast pace of the game and makes tricky areas far easier to navigate. And last, but certainly not least, we finally get multiplayer. Gone are the days when you had to take turns playing. Now one of you gets to be Sonic and the other plays as the exceptionally cute Miles Tails Prower, whom I personally preferred because he's so damn cute and I'm a sucker for cuteness in my gaming. So, with all that said, let's get down to the most important question. What does the sequel play like? Well, I'm happy to say the game is mostly a pleasure to play. That's not to say it's perfect, because it's not. The underwater sections are still as annoying as hell, and slowing Sonic down so much when he's underwater is still a stupid idea. Also, there are numerous bugs, such as here on the PS2 version, where falling debris in the aquatic ruin zone managed to push Sonic out of the level. This happened twice, by the way. It's an easily replicable bug. It's a flawed game at times, but the flaws are far less numerous than in the original and they don't ruin my enjoyment. There's a lot more polish to this sequel and a lot more obvious love for Sonic and his game world. The zones are brightly coloured and imaginative, as you would expect from a Sonic game of this era, and the music is fantastic throughout the game. When I think back on Sonic games from my childhood, the music I remember is always either the title tune, Green Hills Zone from Sonic 1, or more zones than I care to count from Sonic 2. The music on this sequel blows the original out of the water in my opinion. Speaking of zones, what have we got here? Well, they're varied, and if you don't know the background to the game's development, you could be forgiven for thinking that they were somewhat random. The original storyline for the game involved Dr. Robotnik having taken over the world, and Sonic having to travel back through time to undo the events that allowed that to happen. This time travel element was removed from the game by the end of its development, but did make a recurrence in Sonic CD. However, for the moment, we're going to leave it aside because, aside from setting up the way the levels are, it doesn't actually have any influence on the game. Consequently, we begin the game in the present with the Emerald Hill Zone, then move quickly onto Chemical Plant Zone, the first of the Bad Future Zones where Robotnik has taken over. The music here is some of the best gaming music ever as far as I'm concerned. Next we go back in time to the Aquatic Ruins Zone, before heading into the future again for Casino Night Zone, where Sonic will no doubt end up halting his time-travelling adventures for a while to act as a pinball. I do love this zone. Next we are back in either the past or the present, running through Hilltop Zone. You can be forgiven for thinking this is just Green Hill Zone or Emerald Hill Zone all over again, because yeah, it pretty much is. But I'll let it slide because we won't be here long and it's a decent set of levels that remind me a lot of the Game Gear version of Sonic 1. You'll hear that a lot during this review. Next up is Mystic Cave Zone and some more amazing music. I adore the music on this level, it's superb. Next we're back in the future to battle our way through Oil Ocean Zone. This is the zone I dislike the most, because it's not always clear where you need to go, and the jumps are far more fiddly than earlier in the game. Your mileage may vary, but for me it's the low point of the whole game. After that, we're off to Metropolis Zone, the first zone with 3 acts. In fact, the only zone with 3 acts. Every zone before it, and every zone after it, is either a 1 or 2 act thing, which made the game feel an awful lot quicker and an awful lot smaller than the original game when I was first playing it. Sonic 1 had 3 acts per zone, most of the time anyway. 2 proper levels plus a shortened level with a boss fight at the end. Sonic 2 instead just has 2 standard sized levels with a boss fight on the end of the second one. Not so here in Metropolis Zone, however. You have the old 3-act setup akin to the original game. Again, this one feels a little slower paced, and with all the platform jumping it reminds me a lot of the Game Gear version of Sonic 1. That's no bad thing, but it does make it stand out from the other zones. Anyway, now we're getting late into the game and it's time for the Sky Chase Zone, where Sonic takes some time out from his fast-paced action sequences to stand on top of a biplane and beat up flying turtles, as well as whatever the hell those weird propeller-headed things are supposed to be. It's a bit of a dull level to be honest, so I was happy to see it as a 1-act zone with no boss battle at the end. Instead, at the end, we're faced with the Winged Fortress Zone immediately afterward. Sonic and Tails, who is flying the biplane that Sonic has decided to stand on top of, rather than ride inside in relative safety, because he's an idiot, our Sonic, are under attack from intense laser fire from Robotnik's flying headquarters. The biplane will get hit by laser fire, and if you don't leap to safety at the right point, you and Tails will plummet to your deaths, so you best get jumping. If you remember the Sky Blimp Zone from Sonic 1 on the Game Gear, you'll know what to expect here. Yeah, it seems Sonic 2 on Mega Drive took an awful lot of inspiration from the Game Gear. That's no bad thing, of course. Personally, I loved the Game Gear version of Sonic 1, although the sequel leaves a lot to be desired. Winged Fortress is a tough zone, with a lot of precision platforming. It's well worth getting through, however, as the set piece at the end where Sonic is hanging onto the blimp for dear life is brilliant. Now we're coming to the cool late game content. Welcome to the one-on-one battle with Metal Sonic. I have to admit, I forgot he was in the game. For years I was sure Metal Sonic debuted in Sonic CD, but now here he is on the original Mega Drive in the Death Egg Zone. Metal Sonic is a tough boss battle, but once you work out his attack patterns, you can take him out fairly quickly. Then it's on to Giant Mecha Robotnik. This guy is tough too. I remember beating him a reasonable amount when I was a kid and I didn't have many games, so I ended up getting really good at the ones I did have. But these days I just rely on save states to make this a lot easier. Yeah, you heard me, I'm that kind of gamer and I don't care. As with Metal Sonic, Mecha Robotnik isn't too difficult once you know his attack pattern, although when you're learning it for the first time or trying to remember it from years ago, he's quite annoying. But once you beat him, that's the end of the game, however. The ending is a nice set piece of Sonic running through an exploding sky blimp, followed by a slideshow of still images, then Sonic and Tails fly off into the sunset on their biplane. You may notice the biplane scene is exactly like the one at the start of Sonic 3, but that is a story for another day. And of course, when you've defeated the levels and defeated the bosses, there are of course those infamous bonus stages. Now on the original Mega Drive, you had this cool spinning maze thing, but here it goes one step further. Now we've got pseudo 3D, where you're running through a half pipe essentially trying to collect rings. I love this. When I first saw it playing on my old Mega PC, I thought it was an amazing feat of technological achievement. I'd never seen anything like it in a game before. It blew my mind. It's still a lot of fun. It doesn't seem like there's an awful lot of gameplay here, and certainly other Sonic games have certainly beaten it in that respect, but visually it's still a delight and I still love it to this day. All in all, Sonic 2 is one of my personal favourite Mega Drive games. It has its frustrating moments, sure. Some of the boss battles are annoying at times, but most of them are genuinely fun set pieces with some really imaginative villain designs. The levels don't outstay their welcome even when they slow the game down to precision platforming, and the music is outstanding. For a game put together in just 9 months, this is an amazing achievement and I cannot recommend it enough. Whether you try this on the original Mega Drive or on one of the many compilation discs it's found its way onto over the years, I think you'll find a lot here to like, and even if you've played it before, there are still hours of repeat gaming to be had out of it. Go and give it a try, it's a genuine classic. And there you are. It's one of those fantastic games that I think everyone who played it and remembers it from the time loves. And if you've come to it later on with the Mega Collection on GameCube, PlayStation 2 and Xbox, then you'll know how good this game is too. I love it. I recommend it. If you can play it in any form, go and give it a try. It's fantastic. It's one that I come back to time and time again, even though I've finished it countless times. It's just so much good fun. It's proper, pure gaming joy from the 16-bit era, and that's what counts. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Hope you liked this, and if you did, remember to click that like button. Share this with your friends so they'll know a good game when they see it, and do subscribe for future videos because there will be more in the future, hopefully when I'm better and not full of cold. But until next time, I've been Kirk-Robinson, you've been watching GameHammer on the Knobmouse channel, and I'll see you later. Bye! Today's video is brought to you by my graphic novels, The Collected Life of Knobty Mouse, Volume 1, All Over the House, Volume 1, and All Over the House, Volume 2. Thank you.